Hello everyone, I'm Rob Smith, the Smith in the Black, and let's get to the weekend vid. We've got a new month coming out here. We're going to have a macro vid over the weekend. Spy gets the old smackdown, and one of the things that's important to know is that we've been watching these monthlies for a while because we had outside month, outside month, outside month, outside month. And so the question is, are we going triangle expando, where we finally expand all this broadening formation stuff? And so here, this month, really important. So that low, 420.76, right? And we're handily below that, but we want to stay there. We also want to see if we can take this out right here, the 410.64. And then once we do that, we want to stay below that. So we'll see. We've got some inside months. We've got, macro vid where things are really melting down. We also have the Fed coming this week, so we want to see how that reacts, because oftentimes when you get a smackdown like we did today on the daily, like this, coming into the Fed, a lot of people think, well, I'll just trade the volatility and trade my way out of it or whatever. Oftentimes things dry up and do nothing in front of the Fed and make it even more difficult to do that. But for right now, we go out in the lows. A lot of things are going to look bad. And the weekly here, remember that 2-2 reversal here. That's what we wanted to know about. Now we got a little bit more to take that out. But whenever you go down the lows, it looks bad. But we've got a new month, which means we can have full time frame continuity to the upside on one tick on Monday. We don't uncouple until a week from Tuesday, which means that we don't have separate openings for the month, week, day, and 60 till then. Doesn't mean we don't trade. It's just we just gain more evidence as time goes by. So the hard part for a lot of things is, how are you going to make something look good, right? You need a reversal to the upside. So even if you start going green and have time frame continuity, how are you going to take out these highs, right? Well, you can go an inside day and then on Tuesday go 2-1-2 back up, sure. Or you could puke down and come back up and set up the 2-2 for Tuesday, but that stuff needs to happen, right? And if it's not happening, it's not happening. So that's what we're going to be aware of. If we go to QQQ, and Qs did their job. Once again, I've said this over and over and over again. Once you have an outside bar and you get back into it, there was your 2-2 reversal, and boom. These became an outside bar of that. So the Qs having a rough time here. And if you go to the monthly, real rough time. And so the thing is, these 3 months here, we're still range bound, really. I mean, it was a big range. But if we get the pounding from this down, sideways, then another one of these, then we get to see some real issues here. So we'll be aware of that. If we go to the diamonds, and diamonds once again could be Rev Strat month, and we've called off a lot of diamond stuff while they were inside month, but then once it took it out to the slight higher high and coming back through, things got our attention. So Rev Strat month to the downside below 326.06, but both of these months are inside of that. So if you can take out this high, that would also get my attention. And that's going to be 354.87. So we'll see how that goes, and we'll get to those in a second. If we go to small cappers, ow. 2 up, 2 down, but you can also see this. Remember this chop shop in here. But then the haymaker, but these 3 months are really a consolidation. So if we get a measured move out of this, down, sideways, and then boom, maybe we get some real haymaker stuff out of that. If we go to Apple, Apple's an inside month. And like a lot of things, anything that stayed inside month, and most monthlies are near the lows. But anytime you can take out something like Apple and have it down as a 2 down off the inside month, that gets people's attention, right? So we'll be keeping an eye on that. Apple below 155.38. By request from our friends in Brazil, we're going to take a look at the EWZ. And so one of the things about the EWZ here is you see these 3 months here, this real pounding. All of this stuff is inside of that. And so software is going to present itself the way it wants, right? But we know mother bar issues happen. So what you're seeing is price discovery starting over again. And it comes up in here and you can see the slight higher high and you see these lower low. And now you're right dead in the middle of it. So how do we get out of this? That's nowhere near doing that. You're closer to a 2 up, 2 down because this took out the highs. to coming down to the lows and testing this stuff. And if you do, you get back into an old 3, then maybe you come down and visit these guys. So just wanted to do that for them. VXX. And VXX, let's go to the weekly. Here, still a chop and a mess. So we can go to UVXY because we know there's some funky stuff going on there. UVXY was a 3-2 to the upside, right? After slight triangle down here. So we'll see. You can see these higher highs in here. That's where we'd be going if things start to get ugly. If we go to TLT bonds, TLT on the week, 2 down, 2 up by taking out the highs and potentially taking that out. If you go to the monthly, you see this blood red here too. So TLT, but like I said, new month. We can go green. The question is, how do you continually get these signals to continue to go higher, right? They would have to be inside days. It'd have to be RevStrat days. Or it'd have to be 2-2 reversals, which are nowhere near doing on a lot of this longer term stuff. Back to the diamonds, we got a Boeing. And Boeing, we've known about this problem in a while, where you've been stuck. All of these guys are stuck in this month, right? March 2020. You haven't been able to get out of that. There's a lot of reopening trades that are inside on the month. So we'll keep an eye on that. And this will be in the macro video because it's breaking down on the macro basis. But when you have this higher high here and you start breaking down, and if this is price discovery starting over again, as far as we know, we're going to go take these guys out at least. That's 113.89, and that's a long way down, right? So if we go to the weekly, the 2 up, 2 down, perfect. So we'll keep an eye on that Boeing. If we go to CAT, and CAT, kind of an either where, because CAT, closer to the highs of the week, and if you take this out, then you're a 2-2 week to the upside, right? Trying to come back through here. But we also know on the month, here, if you take this out, now you've got your monthly broadening formation here, 2-2 down would be below 202. You've got some distance on that, but a lot of this stuff is, has some distance to take out, but it's going to be a blueprint for what we're looking for as we come into May. If we go to IBM, inside month to the upside, held. If it takes this out at RevStrats, just like the Dow, 124.91. Now you got some distance on that too, right? And if you go to the weekly, inside week, but you're closer to taking that week down, right? So below 132, you're right there. So we'll see, because a lot of things, when you go out on the lows, a lot of things are going to be close to triggering. We just want to see if they do and then how they act once they do. If we go to McDonald's, and McDonald's on the month tried to hammer up, but then goes hammer shooter. So McDonald's would be in trouble here below 242.38. If we go to mini mines, triple M, inside month. So either side of this thing, and that's going to be 153.10, 142.87 on that to see if we get the down sideways measured move puker, because this thing's had all sorts of trouble for a while. If we go to Nike, inside month, but you're closer to taking out that low at 120.48. So we'll see how that goes. If we go to Procter & Gamble, and Procter & Gamble actually held 2 down, 2 up, and then goes inside in the week, 3-1. So that's something I want to know about. 3-1, either side of that, because they sold down, they paid up, then they came back in the middle. What do they really want to do? And that tells us also to look at XLP, and XLP was a 2 down on the week, and on the month, it hit magnitude. We look to take all this out. The question is it going to be weak enough to be shooter, counters, hammer, and come down here? You got stuff like CHD in there. There'd be RevStrat. So we'll see how that lines up with the Dow and the XLP. If we go to UNH, and UNH monthly shooter. So getting closer to taking that out, and we know that's going to tell us to look at XLV, which is closer to a 2 up, 2 down, and there's ANTM. Potential shooter there. You've got Cigna here, potential shooter. So those still also have to happen, which are not happening yet. Johnny John, not a bad month, right? So if we go the week, question here is 3 1.22, and if that takes that out, we're looking to take this out, 176.74. So we'll see how all that plays out. If we go to transports, trannies on the month, stuck. You can see that tranny's still a little bit better than the other things just because you're going sideways here, but look how many months this has been up in this range. Now we're near the lows of that range, so we want to see if we take that out. But like some of the airlines has actually held up a bit. United goes inside weak, so not total death there, but if this broadening formation kicks in, it starts going 2-1-2 back down, then we got some problems. So we'll see. We got CSX, chop shop, but it is inside month, and we can watch that with the rails and stuff like that. And UPS. In UPS, you can see that here's a potential problem here for UPS. Range bound, outside week, or outside month, tests going into new highs, fails and now coming back through. Right? Now the question is it only failing this stuff, or is it going to be weak enough to go all the way down there? Well, we'll keep an eye on that to see what happens. If you go to XLU, lows of the month again, 2 up, 2 down potentially, and you've got a lot of shooters over there. You got Duke and you've got DTEs, so we'll see if they want to do that, because one of the things that we like to see is, for confirmation, is rotation. And saying, you know, when the market pulls back and they rotate into XLU and XLP, that they're just rotating. They're not really killing them. But when all the sectors start dropping, that's a problem, and that's why we're going to keep an eye on all this stuff. If we go to FAS, financials, tough. And FAS going out on the lows, like most things. And if you take things out, here's the real problem. You got the Fed coming this month, and this week, and that's good. But when you look at the real big picture, you know, it's like, could we go back to not just FAS, but a lot of things? Could we go back to the 2020 lows? I'm like, sure could. I'm like, we're back into the giant broadening formation. Bad things would have to happen, but they are, and I'm not saying that that's going to happen. But what you want to know is that it shouldn't be surprising if things get worse because of when the broadening formation gets bigger. So FAS having some problems, XLF here, taking out all this stuff. So it might just be taking these guys out, and that's it. And you have an upper level broadening formation. But all this kind of stuff, if anything goes wrong, you know, things could go bad. So JP Morgan coming back into this on a monthly, going out on the lows of the month. Goldman Sachs, all this kind of jazz in here and coming back through that. That could be potential a problem. And then we go to, don't want to scare anybody. Just saying. Anyway, so if you go to like Ameriprise, because we've been talking about, you know, the inside months, and a lot of them got taken out because of this week's weakness, but they're still inside months, and so you could have more of these signals. Ameriprise is an inside month. You've got American Express as an inside month. You've got DFS as an inside month. You've got Aon here, which didn't make it to outside month. It was getting killed today. That slight higher high, and boom, close to a 2 up, 2 down reversal on the monthly, and you can come back through that stuff. If you go to Met here, also 2 up, potential 2 down. Marsh & McLennan, 2 up, but closing on the lows, closer to a 2 down. Travelers, inside month. So we'll be keeping an eye on all that stuff too, especially with the Fed coming here this week. If we go to crude, so we know most of the macro signals on the energy names are still good, and we'll get to that video over the weekend, but inside month here for UCO, that's going to tell a few tales, because we know if you look at XLE here, still no lower lows on the month for the year, all right? And that's a good thing. Doji, so it's going to be a tough time to get out of that kind of stuff, but no lower low, and that's a positive, especially in this environment. You go to OIH, you're closer to taking out these lows, but you haven't made a lower low either. So we'll see how that goes. So if we go to the big boy Chevron, Chevron, I believe, inside month. Didn't take out those highs, right? Nope. Inside month. You're closer to taking out the lows, but you still have these macro signals working, and you're going to start off here is an inside day, all right, to see if they want to punish these things a little bit more. And that's okay on a yearly basis. They're still good. We can expect corrective activity. We just want to see if we get it. And then we can look for reversals back up, because ExxonMobil also inside month and green, and the 212 year that we know about. So we'll talk about that in the macro vid. APA, doji month, but for the week, 3-2 down. And so there's a bunch of these things that energy starts running again. You can get the 3-2-2 back up. Here, 3-2-2. Got some distance to take that out as well. Like I said, a lot of these monthlies are going to be somewhat of an issue. Maybe inside months, but 42-62, stuff like that. And Devon, real close to being a 3-2-2 on the week, right? And if you go to the daily, you'll see something like this. Because people are always asking me, how do you draw the tries? I'm like, you don't have to draw them. You just have to know they exist. But here, all we're trying to do is create an outside bar. These are an outside bar of all that. So if it starts racing through here, we're looking for another outside bar to go take it out. If we go to EOG, and EOG on the month, once again, we get these doji problems here. It's an outside 3, right? But on the week, if it can go that, it's closer to a 2-2 to the upside, we'll see. Let's shrink this down just a tad. If we go to Murphy, and Murphy oil, it's got some distance too, but it would be a 3-2-2 to the upside if it can take it out. We'll see about that as well. If we go to Valero, outside week to the upside. So there's your 3, and you go inside day. So that'll tell us a few tails. It's closer to taking out the lows, but we'll see. We have their lower low. There's your 2 reversal on the daily. And now the inside, so that'll give us a little tail of what's going on to start the new month. If we go to XRT retail, XRT retail, another rough one down into here. XRT does this on the month. Inside month to the downside, just doesn't get totally killed, but it's fragmented, and we'll look at like Walmart. And Walmart on the month, green, somewhat middle of the range, tough to take that out. We did have on the weekly to do this here, the rev strat inside, then up, then down, but we'll see how that goes. Monthly, nowhere near really taking out the monthly highs or lows. Costco, little different story, started to rally back, but closer to taking out the lows after going into the highs for a 2-2 reversal, and like many things, had, recalculate that month, there we go. No, we're closer to taking that out, 2 up, 2 down, because today, oof, rough, so we'll keep an eye on that. Target, a little better when you go to the month. Here, nowhere near really taking that out. I want to make sure these are right. Nowhere near really taking that out, so nothing really to see there. If we go to those auto parts we're getting hit, AAP would be a rev strat downside, inside month, then here, and that would be below 198.81. So you're close to that. If we go to Casey's General Stores, and Casey's, you can see here on the monthly, the lower low, and then the spike higher high. And if this takes this out, then it's a 3-2-2 to the downside. So that would get my attention here. This month, next month, below 196.20, because that's a nice move if you can get that. If we go to Deckers, and Deckers, just a bit of a shooter counter's hammer. Hammer, boom, shooter, below 256.69. If we go to KSS, just tight inside month, but the thing about it is that you have 1-3-1. And what that means is They consolidated. They tried to take it higher, tried to take it lower, and now they consolidated again. So what we're looking for now is the real move. All right, either side of that month can get my attention. If you go to Lulu, also potential 322 to the downside, and that would trigger below 350.05. So we'll see if they want to bring in the yoga pants. If we go to tech, XLK, and XLK once again didn't totally get killed in here. Apple and Microsoft big in there, but that was a big bar, and then 3 months of sideways, and then going toward the low. So we want to see if we get the down, sideways, measured move and pound this thing. And we'll take a look at SMH. SMH having problems here, going out on the lows of the month. So we'll see what more comes of that, because we know we've been watching this on the daily here. This broadening formation. The question is, was this higher high the lower level broadening formation? We're going to start getting killed again. So we'll see how that goes Monday morning. Facebook, shooter counters hammer on the day. Monthly, outside month, how are we going to get out of there? You're in the middle of that, so that's a little bit difficult. And at the weekly, it was green because of the earnings and stuff like that. So we're watching this in the combination with the other things. Amazon, look at it. Whew, smoked. And here was that 2 reversal on the weekly we knew about. And then the 3-2 down on the earnings and getting pounded on the weekly. Daily, just a gap down and holds down. So anytime you go down there, you might have to disseminate the gap a little bit, but we'll see. It's also going to be in the macro vid because it took the 2-2 year to the downside. If we go to Netflix, speaking of 2-2 years to the downside, Netflix tries to get out of here and just, nope, 2 up but red. So when you walk in, easily could go 2-2 back into the new lows. But you do have a new month, and you are an exhaustion risk by going into the lows. But you know, Netflix has just been beautiful. If you go to Google, and Google here, all these months, taking those out. Like many things on the week, closing near the lows, and on the daily here, you got a little bit more to take this out, right? You got a lower low, you got a higher high, and then you came down here. So nothing too big to see there, but we'll keep an eye on that with the gang. NVIDIA, 2 up, 2 down, and we know what this monthly looks like. And this is a good example of the other things that I'm showing you that you know, it had a big range, but was basically trading sideways in a big range for a while, and then boom. So if everything else does this, then you got problems, and there was that nice inside month to the downside. If we go to analog devices, semi, 3-1 on the month. That's something I'd want to know about. And it's also that 1-3-1 on the month, analog devices, and it's closer to the downside. So we'll keep an eye on that. And to start off the month, it's also going to be an inside day. If we go to Autodesk, and Autodesk, just going to start off as an inside day. So when everything was getting killed, it was coming in, but it wasn't totally getting killed. But you see this higher high here and the lower low here. So if that kicks in, the 2-1-2 daily, you can go look down and take these out. If we go to AFRM, and AFRM stays as an inside month here, and much closer to taking that out to the downside. And if you go to the weekly, here, there was your 2-2 reversal, and it's still coming down here. And we always want to look for these old 3 here. That's the original broadening formation. So as long as this continues to kick in, we're looking to take out 2602. If we go to AVGO, AVGO is hung up much better than most of these things here. It did go RevStrat month, inside month, 2 up, 2 down. These 3 months are completely inside this range, right? So we call that a sideways inside quarter, right? So we want to see if how we take this stuff out. And so what that means is they become a quarter. So I want to know above 645.31 or below this, 549.02. And that's where the trouble starts. All right, so keep an eye on that those levels there. If you go to AYX, 2 up on the month, but red, and close to taking that out. And if that works, we can take these guys out. So we're looking at AYX below 64.07. If we go to BABA, and BABA has an inside month. All right, you're dead in the middle of it. You got a lot of China doing that. You got Baidu here is an inside month. You got JD. You got Billy. So a lot of inside months for China. As much as they tried to rally and gap today, if you go back to BABA again though, and you look at a weekly, you had an outside week, right? All the stuff's chopping around that inside month, but once a 3, always a 3 can't not be, and so they all gapped up but closed near the low. So if we might get some 2-2 reversals out of the Chinese names come Monday morning, I'd keep an eye on that. If we go to Coop, and Coop, they've pounded this thing, and that's going to give you the inside month. Think it can't get any worse? Sure can. Here was your original broadening formation, tried to expand, and then coming all the way back through it. So if they continue to expand, you got an inside month to the downside below 83.50. If we go to CrowdStrike, which has been strong, it was a 2 up, but then would be a 2-2 reversal on the month below 197.80. If we go to DoorDash, and DoorDash having some issues here. I don't think it was inside month, but no. But it's closer to being a 2 up, 2 down on the month. And if you go back to the week, like I was just talking about, like on the Qs, like here's that outside week right here. There's your broadening formation here back into it. So we're looking to take this out, 174.32. If we go to eBay, and eBay, inside month, but closer to taking out to the downside below 51.52. If you go to KLAC, more semis, also inside month. Just don't have a lot of magnitude to take this out, but it would be below 312.02. And we'll see how that goes, because on today, when the market was getting smacked, it tried to go up. It was a 2 up. So all it's got to do is take out 318.42 to be a 2 down to try and take all that stuff out. If we go to MongoDB, MDB, rough month, but it was a 2 up, and it'll be a 2 down, and you got a long way to take these guys out, and so that would be below 352.64. Go to net, look at this. Beautiful reversal on the month up here. Now, once again, like a lot of things, 3 months, 4 months really sideways. But now you got the inside, outside, inside month. And that's going to kick in here below 85.87. And you're almost there. If you go to Palo Alto, slight higher high and then a 2 down. 2 up, and then it would be a 2 down below 557.43. That'd be a nice move down into here if we can get it. And if you look like just like those monthlies, if you look at the daily, you're going to see this. That move down, the sideways, and now starting to go measured move where you get more of that kind of stuff. So we'll see. If we go to Qualcomm, tight daily try in here, stayed inside day, gap. So if they start hitting them, we're looking to come back through this stuff. And if you go to the monthly, you'll see this. We got some lows here to take out too, right? People are like, that's support. I'm like, nope, that's stop orders. So we'll see how that goes too. If we go to Snow stays as an inside month, but right near the lows of taking it out below 171.12. If we go to Zscaler, also inside month and closer to taking that out, below 202.26. Go to SNPS. And once again, you see these 3 months basically going sideways, but now it's inside and closer to taking that out below 281.30. Go to Teradyne, more semis. Another 131 on the month. I'm going to start off the day. Nope, not quite an inside day, but we'll see how that goes. If we go to Splunk, monthly, 2 up by taking out those highs. And a lot closer to taking this out, and that would be a 3, 2, 2 to the downside. Good TTD. Stayed inside month. That'd be an inside month to the downside here. Below 56.69. And you'll notice here, we got this lower low here. Well, we haven't made a lower low, but we did have the higher high. So when people are trying to draw broadening formations, I'm like, well, you don't have to have it yet because we might not be there. But if we start puking through here, we're going to take these guys out. That's 46.71. That'll be a nice move. If we go to SQ, inside month, 3 months of sideways. And this is where, you know, I'm trying to drive this point home where people are like, oh, it's way oversold and it's getting killed. You have a lot of things that were going sideways for 3 months, right? Just starting to get killed. And, you know, if you get any more of that going, you got problems here below 97.39. If you go to VIV, inside month here, right? So more potential problems there, below 175.20. ZM, oh boy. Hey, Kathy, how's it going? Inside month here. So either 126.44 or 95.72 is going to have our attention in ZM. Just a few more. Archer Daniels Midland sets up the shooter for the month. There's a lot of those in the memes. You got inside 131 in AMC GameStop. So also an inside 131. You've got American Tower setting up potential rev strat 1 2 1 2, and that tells you CCI and SBAC. They all trade together usually, and we want to see all that kind of stuff go together. Like I said, there's a lot of opening up trades like DRI is inside EAT, right? You've got Live Nation, maybe Play. So there's a lot of those opening up trades that will be in the macro vid because, you know, that's what we've been looking at for over a year. Well, how did this opening up trades end up? Because we knew they were going to go inside year last year, and now we've got the new year, and now you got inside month. So, you know, we'll see how that goes. EXPE is in there, so we'll see. FRT and the REITs would be Rev Strat month 1 2, and let's take a look at VNQ real quick. VNQ a lot closer to that 2 down, and most things are, and that's how it's going to start. Doesn't mean everything's going to fall apart on Monday. It just means that we are at more risk of that happening. If we go to Mosaic, also big shooter, and that's telling you to look at all the ags, IPI, Bungie, all that kind of stuff, a lot closer to 2 months to the downside. We got SI. Here is an inside month, another 1 3 1. Oh no, it's a 1 2 1. But that's Bitcoin related, so that tells us Mr. and Almara and all that kind of stuff. Snap on SNA. Here, chop shop in here on the month, and then goes and takes all these guys out. So anybody who's short against anything, it's gone. So I really want to know about this thing below 201. All right, and you're going to start off here is the inside week. So we'll see how that goes. If we go to Tech, TECK, and TECK, a little bit more interesting because you got a 3-week 2 down, but you're closer to the 3 2 2 to the upside. But a lot of those things, just like energies and stuff, boy, it's a tough time to get out of these months. You know, the big range, and you're right in the middle of it. And then we got a Tesla's. Tesla's a lot closer to 2 up, 2 down on the month. All right, so we want to be aware of that in Tesla's. And if you go to the week, here, rough shooter week down. But we'll see. We got the daily here. We tried to rev strat, and it actually worked. And so when some people say it fails, it didn't fail. It did what it was supposed to do. Inside bar, hammer down, 1 2 2, and the magnitude was just to take that out, which it did. Your hopes is it goes a lot higher, but it didn't, so you get out. So we're closer on the daily to 2 2 to the downside, and that's going to happen when you have the wipeout that we did. So we've got the Fed coming. It's not uncommon to dry up, because when people get killed like this, that things dry up in front of the Fed where they think they're just going to trade their way out of it, and things end up doing nothing. But we are a lot closer to a bunch of sell signals to the downside, so we're going to be aware of that. If anything's going to reverse, well, it's going to have to use the time frame continuity because it got the new continuity. and then it's going to have to set up more signals. So that's going to do it for this week. I'm Rob Smith, Smith in the Black, the Weekend Vid.